Hey there, tonight we take a walk into the woods, slowly, one step at a time, until the moonlight dims, the trees start whispering, and Coldwater Bridge creaks behind you like an old breath holding something in. You're on patrol, Sheriff. Just another long shift in a quiet county where nothing ever happens, until something does. The sun's last fingers scratch the horizon behind you as you park your cruiser by the edge of Coldwater Bridge. You step out, boots crunching on damp gravel, air sharp with pine and something else, like copper or rain that hasn't fallen yet. The bridge groans under its own weight, and you swear it exhales just as you close your door. No other cars, no wind, just that sudden pressing hush that comes when nature stops pretending it's unaware of you. You glance up at the treetops beyond the bridge, dense, black-green, old. Pines that grow like watchtowers, their needles catching the dying light like little daggers. You try not to stare too long. There's a reason locals call that patch the still pines. Folks say nothing moves in there without being moved. You shake it off. Routine check. The bridge floods every second storm. It's your job to scan for signs of erosion. You click on your flashlight, it flickers, buzzes like it's thinking, and step toward the wooden slats. You walk halfway across when it happens. You feel it. Not see it, feel it, on the back of your neck, between your shoulders. The weight of a gaze, heavy as a hand, steady as a rifle scope. From the trees far side of the water, you pause, flashlight up. Sweep left to right. Nothing, but you're not alone. You've read about this sensation, haven't you? That uncanny biological alert system. Science says it's evolved. The primal brain detecting stares for survival. Predators, assailants, things with eyes. You tell yourself it's that, just instinct. Still, your fingers tighten on the flashlight. You turn slowly, gaze scanning the pines, looking for movement, sound, anything. And for a moment you hear it, breathing, not yours, not human. A slow, long drag of air through something hollow. You take a step back, pulse hitching. Nothing changes, but the trees seem closer than they were, just a little, just enough. You check your radio, static, another step. Then quietly, barely louder than thought, you hear a child's giggle from the woods. Now let's take a breath, Sheriff. Maybe it's nothing. Could be an animal, could be wind, could be your imagination. But that's the thing, isn't it? Imagination doesn't make your hair stand up. It doesn't leave boot prints in dry dust. It doesn't call you by name in your father's voice 3 nights from now. You cross the rest of the bridge briskly, pretending you're just doing your job. The flashlight works fine now, suddenly. You scan the riverbank, muddy, undisturbed. The underbrush ripples once, like something low to the ground just slid out of view. There's a legend here, you recall, half laughed over at the station, how the pines remember faces, how the bridge was built to keep something in, not just let people across. One of the older deputies used to joke about it, until he went missing. That was last spring. Nobody jokes anymore. You turn back toward the cruiser. The shadows are different now. Longer. Your headlights look dimmer than they should from this distance. You pause again, foot halfway off the bridge. Someone standing at the tree line now. Not moving, just a silhouette, small, child-sized, unarmed, unafraid. You raise your light. Nothing there. You blink. Still nothing. But you felt it. Folk tales say never call out to something that watches from between trees, especially not here, especially not if it looks like a child. Still, you whisper just to hear your own voice. You all right? No answer. You hold your breath, and the wind picks up finally, but only behind you. The trees stay still. Only the bridge moans again, like it's been holding in a secret and finally let a sliver slip. It's darker now. You didn't realize how fast. The sunset left faster than usual, a trick of latitude or something else. Experts still wonder whether fear causes time distortion, or if it just exposes how time really flows when something ancient notices you. You decide, wisely, to end your patrol early tonight. Make a note. You'll come back tomorrow in daylight, but as you walk to the cruiser, the dome light flickers on by itself, and on the inside of your windshield, traced in dew. Hello, Sheriff. Drawn by a small finger, you don't sleep that night. And you sure as hell don't go back to Coldwater Bridge alone again. Not yet. You try not to think about the do writing. The childish scrawl on the inside of your windshield that shouldn't be there. Couldn't be there. Except it was. You drove all the way back to the station with the dome light on and your sidearm unholstered, heart racing like you were chasing something you hadn't even seen. Every stop sign felt like an ambush. Every passing tree looked a little too still. Now back at the office, you sit at your desk pretending to write up a report. Really, you're watching the second hand on the wall clock. You just need time to pass. Just enough to let the weirdness sink below the surface of your mind like a stone in still water. But the message on the windshield haunts you, so you ask around. And that's when Deputy Harlan tells you about the boy in the red hoodie. He speaks soft like he's not sure if it's just gossip. Says some of the older folks still talk about a kid who went missing back in 1998. No leads, no suspects, no body, just gone, vanished on his way home from school. Said he'd take the shortcut by Coldwater Bridge. Never made it. His name was Caleb, age 10. Wore a red hoodie with white drawstrings, like dinosaurs and grilled cheese. You picture it, little sneakers stomping through the underbrush, probably humming some cartoon jingle, thinking he'd get home 5 minutes faster. He didn't. And here's the part that's harder to dismiss. Ever since that day, there have been sightings. Quiet ones, private ones. People don't like to say it out loud because of how it makes them feel. Because once you talk about Caleb, they say he comes back. You don't believe that, do you? Still, something makes you drive back to the bridge the next evening. Just to look, just to see. Maybe you'll find a trace. Maybe the fog that pooled under the beams yesterday will feel less like a warning and more like weather today. Maybe. This time you come earlier, more daylight. The breeze feels almost normal. You get out of your cruiser and walk carefully to the bridge's midpoint. And there he is, standing on the opposite side. Small frame, hoodie pulled over his head, face shadowed, not moving, not waving, just standing. You speak his name softly, uncertain. Caleb. The figure shifts slightly. The head tilts. You raise your hand, it raises its hand. Not in greeting, in mimicry, like a mirror that moves just a second too late. You don't breathe. You're not sure you can. Everything feels like it's pressing in, air, gravity, memory. Even your pulse is slower now, like your heart is trying to hear something. And then he's gone. Not turn. Not run. Gone. Just the wind, just the trees, just the creaking wooden slats under your boots. They say mirrors are portals in some traditions. That spirits can get trapped inside, or worse, come out from them. One obscure Appalachian legend tells of the Hollow Twin, a being that mimics children lost in the forest. It calls out in familiar voices. It walks like a kid, but it is. Some say it's made of mist and memory. Others say it feeds on grief. Experts still wonder whether these mimic spirits emerge from human sorrow, or if sorrow just makes us see what's always been there. You turn to go, there's nothing else to see. But then you hear it, something wet slapping on wood. You look down, tiny footprints, barefoot, darkened by damp, starting from nowhere. Leading to the middle of the bridge, your side. They weren't there before, and they aren't yours. You crouch slowly, studying them. The impressions are small, the arch is delicate, a child's. The left foot has a slight inward turn, same as in the old missing persons file photo Harlan showed you this morning. You didn't want to admit it then. You definitely don't want to admit it now. But it's Caleb's footprint, you're sure of it. The prints stop at the spot where you saw him standing last night, right by the bridge's edge. But there's no turnaround, no return, like he stepped out of the trees, walked to the middle, and just disappeared. You look to the woods again, and this time you see movement, not Caleb, something else, behind the trees, deep, watching. Your radio buzzes once, no voice, just a hiss, then silence. You step back, then back again. The forest seems to lean forward just a little, like it's listening. You know better than to call out this time. Instead, you return to the cruiser, slowly, carefully. You don't start it right away, because the rearview mirror shows something red in the back seat. You whirl around, empty, but the scent of rain is back, and on your seat, a small, muddy handprint. It's not just Caleb anymore. You're being watched, and whoever's doing it knows how to get inside. You leave the cruiser running for nearly an hour that night, parked in your driveway with the engine humming like a lullaby you're too afraid to turn off. You sit there staring through the windshield, half expecting more handprints to appear. None do, not tonight, but the radio chirps again, once, like a sigh. You eventually kill the engine and go inside. Lock the doors, twice. Then double-check the windows like someone in a bad dream who knows what's coming but doesn't know from where. You even place the cruiser's walkie by your nightstand, volume up, just in case. Sleep doesn't come easily, and when it does, it brings trees. Pines so tall you can't see the sky, so dense they bend light. You walk through them in the dream, boots sinking into soft moss, hearing something not behind you but beside you, keeping pace. Breathing when you breathe, stopping when you stop. You wake with a jerk. It's 3:12 a.m. and the radio on your nightstand is whispering. A faint shifting frequency just beneath the edge of language, like someone humming through a mouthful of static. You fumble for it, fingers cold, heart pounding. You click it off. Silence snaps back like a rubber band. In the dark, you feel that gaze again. Morning brings no peace, just coffee and second thoughts. You start wondering if stress is finally cracking through the shell of your brain. Maybe that's all this is. Overwork, undersleep. That's what you'll say at the next town hall when someone else reports a shadow moving through the trees. Still, that radio keeps bugging you. Not the one in your house, the Cruiser S. You haven't forgotten how it fizzled out the moment you stepped onto the bridge. You've had a decade of reliable comms in this car. Crystal clear. Never so much as a blip out of range, but lately, dead air. Or worse, wrong voices. You test it. Late afternoon, a cautious half-mile from the bridge. Still town side. No pines yet. You press the transmitter. Unit 3, test check, come back. Static, then a whisper, too faint to catch. You repeat yourself. Unit 3, radio check. Then clear as day. You're late. It's not your voice. Not anyone from dispatch. It's a woman. Calm, almost amused, like she knows you. Like she's been listening longer than you've been talking. You spin around, nothing behind you. Just a crow lifting off from a fence post, wings snapping like a deck of cards. The reply buzzes again. Don't go past the pine that leans. Then silence. No channel register, just blank. You don't know what's worse, messages from strangers or instructions from strangers. You drive forward anyway, because you're a sheriff and because that's what sheriffs do. You follow leads even if they crawl out of the radio like worms. You cross Coldwater Bridge again. Midday light paints the slats gold, but they still groan under you like they know who you are. 100 feet beyond, you pull over. Step out, your radio instantly begins to hiss. Not static, not weather, breathing, heavy, rhythmic, almost in time with your own. You unclip it from your vest, heart thumping now. Unit 3 to base, confirm dispatch status. No reply, only breath. Then a faint click like a child pressing a toy walkie, followed by. You're already in. You shut the radio off completely, but the air around you keeps that same rhythm. Inhale, exhale. Matching yours until it doesn't, until it's just half a second behind like someone mimicking. There's a legend in this region, old even before settlers carved roads into the woods. An indigenous story told in fragments about something they call the echo body. A being that lives in the frequency of voice, not in flesh. It listens to you for years before speaking, and once it speaks with your voice, it knows your shape. They say radios help it find you faster. Experts still wonder whether electromagnetic frequencies can carry more than information, perhaps intention, memory, hunger. You don't touch your radio again that day. Instead, you notice something else. The pine trees. You walk further down the dirt path beyond the bridge. About 60 yards in, you find one that leans, bent at the base, like it's bowing toward the river. Looks like lightning split it once, then it kept growing anyway. And at its base, you find an old battery-powered CB radio, covered in moss, long dead, but propped against it is a hand-drawn map, just a piece of torn notebook paper. It shows the bridge, the path, the pine that leans, and something else. A circle deep in the woods, marked with the word. Listening. Your walkie buzzes again. You don't turn it on, you just listen. From deep in the woods, faint, distant, distorted, you hear yourself. Unit 3 to base. Confirm dispatch status. It's your voice, your exact voice, saying what you said 20 minutes ago. But it's not an echo, it's a recording. and something out there is playing it back. You pocket the map, fold it twice, careful not to tear the crease like it's something sacred or dangerous. Maybe both. You don't even realize you're holding your breath until your lungs ache and the forest seems to exhale from you. The walk back to the cruiser feels longer than the walk in, not because of distance, because of pressure. That strange sense that something is narrowing around you. As if the trees lean in just a fraction more with every step you take. You drive back to the station with the windows down, trying to shake it. But you keep hearing your voice from the radio in your head, replayed, stretched out, like someone's chewing it slowly. That night you dream of circles in the forest, in the dirt, around trees. And when you wake, you're not entirely sure the map is still in your pocket or if you dreamt that too. But it's there, and now you have to go back. The next morning you pack differently. Flashlight, sure, but also trail markers, chalk, energy bars, a printed topo map. You don't tell anyone at the station, not yet. You tell yourself this is just a solo recon. You'll log it after, because if you tell someone now, they might try to stop you. And something in your gut says you need to see the circle. You park beyond the bridge this time. The dirt is soft and your boots leave deep impressions, something you'll be thankful for later when you realize you'll need to follow yourself out. The trail is quiet. No bird song, no insects. That kind of silence that feels like it's pressing in on your ears. You pass the leaning pine. It's even bigger than you remember, and something black has been rubbed into its bark, ash or soot. The circle's about a mile beyond. You find it by accident because you notice the prints first, small, barefoot, circling the same pine tree over and over and over again. The mud is too soft to hold shape, but the grooves are unmistakable, a path carved by repetition. You crouch beside it, no debris, no leaves in the trail, it's fresh, too fresh. No prints leave the circle, none enter it either, just round and round and round. You know, in some traditions, circles are protection. Salt, ash, stone, keep things out. But in old Eastern European folklore, particularly from the Carpathians, circles were used to trap spirits, echoes, the walking dead. It's why dancers were forbidden to rehearse in circles after dark. And this looks like a prison. You step into the middle, the air changes, cooler, heavy. Your ears pop like descending in altitude. You look up. The pine above you has no birds, no squirrels. No movement at all, just branches, knots, and something hanging. A piece of red fabric, hoodie material, caught on a splintered branch 10 feet up, swaying slightly. You should take it. You should run. Instead, you need. Because now you see it at the base of the tree, half buried in the moss, a small toy dinosaur. Blue plastic. One of the legs is chewed. You pick it up with gloved hands. It's faded but intact. It belonged to someone. And judging by the initials carved into the side, C.H., you already know who. Caleb, you rise. That same feeling creeps up your spine. You are not alone, not anymore. Your radio buzzes again. You let it. The voice that replies is distorted like it's underwater. You're walking in the wrong direction. You freeze. Who is this? There's a long pause, then you passed it already. You spin around, look at the trees, identical, tall, silent. Then you see it, off path. About 30 feet east, a second circle, smaller, stone marked. This one has nothing inside, no footprints, no animal sign, not even a fallen leaf. You move closer. A breeze picks up finally, but it doesn't touch the circle. The leaves outside rustle. The ones inside do not. You know what this means. You've stumbled into a forest with rules. You step back. A crack echoes behind you. You turn fast, and there it is. Something watching, not moving, just standing between two trunks. Not a full shape, just the suggestion of one. You don't point your flashlight, some part of you knows better. Light might make it real, so you back away, slow, measured. You find your chalk and mark a tree with a wide X. Then you keep going, chalk every fifth tree. Because if the forest loops like they say, you'll need a way to know. And soon enough, it does. You find your X again. Only it's faded, smudged. As if something wiped it. Not rain, not time, something else. You don't panic, not yet. Instead, you find your trail, those deep boot prints from earlier. Except they now lead in two directions, forward and back. But one set is slightly smaller than your boot. And barefoot, you kneel again, touch the print, still warm. That means whatever made it, it's still close. You stand, slow and quiet. Something moves behind you. And this time you don't look, because the whisper is right beside your ear. Don't turn around. You obey the whisper. Every muscle in your back wants to flinch, to twist, to turn, but you don't. You hold your breath so tightly your ribs ache. You listen. Branches don't crack. Leaves don't rustle. Whatever's behind you doesn't need to make noise to move. The whisper's breath lingers on your skin a second longer, damp and cold like it passed through something that didn't used to breathe. And then it's gone, just like that. But you still don't turn around. Instead, you begin walking. Slow, deliberate steps like you're moving through a dream you can't wake from. You follow your own chalk marks until you find one that hasn't been tampered with, sharp and untouched. That one gives you courage. But courage, like most things in these woods, doesn't last. You round a small bend where the pines tighten, creating a natural tunnel of sorts. And that's where you find the deer. It stands perfectly still in the clearing ahead, half in shadow, half in pale daylight. At first you think it's just a deer, just a normal white-tailed buck, antlers arched, chest heaving with calm, natural breath. But then it looks at you, and something's wrong. Its eyes are too round, too wide, like orbs placed by hand rather than grown by nature. And its pupils wrong. They don't narrow, don't twitch. They focus directly on you. People talk about the uncanny valley with androids and mannequins, but you're learning it applies to animals too. When something pretends to be a deer but forgets to blink, you raise your hand instinctively. Not a threat, just a test. A human gesture, something no animal should recognize. The deer mimics you, raises its leg, same height, same pause, then lowers it. Its lips part just slightly like it's trying to smile. You take a step back. The deer doesn't follow, but its gaze does, locked on, full of something you don't have words for. There's a folk legend in northern Canada, old Inuit stories of Tupilak, creatures cobbled together from bone, muscle, and memory, animated by curses, sent to haunt or kill. They sometimes take the shape of animals that remember you. Some believe they don't just haunt, they watch for years, until the balance tips and they decide to act. Experts still wonder whether what we call cryptids, like skinwalkers or not deer, are ancient spirits, or something much older, mimicking the new world through broken faces. You move carefully to the left, circling the clearing. The deer turns its head slowly with your movement but doesn't step. You notice its hooves don't sink into the moss. Not an inch. You press on. You don't run. You want to, but instinct tells you not to show fear. Because whatever this is, it's not done watching you. You reach the edge of the clearing and cross through a curtain of low-hanging pine. And just like that, the deer is gone, vanished. No hoofprints, no scent, no breath in the air, just absence. But that's when you hear it. Not a sound, a rhythm, click. Scrape, click, scrape, ahead up the narrow incline. You walk toward it, boots making barely a sound on the pine needle carpet. The rhythm continues, soft, measured. You crest the rise and see it. A pine tree twisted, wounded. Dark liquid drips from a gash in its bark. Not sap, too thin, too red. It slides slowly down the trunk, beading like blood on skin. You kneel, sniff cautiously, metallic, sharp, like a butcher's apron after closing. The sound coming from the other side of the tree. You circle around slowly. And there it is, a person kneeling, facing the trunk, dragging a small knife in the same circular motion over and over again across the bark as if trying to draw something. Eyes wide, lips moving silently. You freeze. He doesn't notice you, not at first. He looks like a hiker, dirty, pale, face scratched by branches, shirt stained with old blood and fresh resin. His backpack is torn open beside him, contents scattered. You clear your throat softly. Sir. His head snaps around too fast, eyes like the deer, mouth still moving, but now the words make sound. He whispers. It feeds through the roots. You step back, he doesn't follow, just resumes carving, over and over, deep gouges now, bark curling up like dead skin. You recognize the symbol, not from folklore, from the sheriff's archives. In a report from 1977, same pine grove, same carving, back when they found 3 hunters who wandered out of the woods naked and silent, carrying deer skulls and refusing to speak for days. You remember the symbol was tagged Unexplained Phenomena Archive. No follow-up. You take one photo, just one. but your phone shuts off the second you capture it. Dead, not low battery, dead. When you turn back to the man, he's gone, just gone. Knife still embedded in the tree, still dripping, but no sign of movement, no retreating prints, no rustled brush. You grab the knife against better judgment. The metal is warm, like it's been in someone's pocket. You wipe it clean, slide it into your belt, maybe for forensics. Maybe because now you need something that can cut through bark, or whatever else is out here. That's when you realize you're sweating, not from heat, from fear. Because from somewhere behind you, somewhere deep and rising like wind through hollow wood, you hear the deer's breath again, and this time it's laughing. You run. It's not tactical, it's not smart, but it's primal. You crash through the underbrush, heart hammering in your chest like it's trying to break through. Branches snap at your arms. Thorns claw your legs. You don't look back, not once, not even when that wheezing, almost happy laughter behind you turns to words. Words you can't understand. Words that sound like you're trying to speak underwater. You don't stop until your legs give out and you collapse near a dry creek bed, panting, gulping air like it might make you human again. It doesn't. You roll onto your back and stare up at the canopy. The pines above are thick, tighter than you remember, less like trees and more like ribs closing in. You get up slowly, every joint trembling, and check your bearings. You're far, too far. You pass the leaning pine, past the marker trees, and now, according to the torn paper map in your pocket, you're near the base of something labeled 5. You'd assumed it was a mile marker, but now you wonder, because ahead of you stands a single pine twice the width of the others. Its bark is darker, glossy in places, and at the base something leaks, something dark. You walk closer, cautious now. It's not sap, it's warm. You crouch. Dip one finger in, it's thick, smells of iron. You pull your hand back quickly, wipe it on a rag. It leaves a smear that shines in the sun like oil and refuses to dry. That's when you notice the rope scars on the branch above. 3 loops worn into the wood. Someone or several someones used this tree to hang things or people. You step back, scan the area, and there, half buried beneath the mossy roots, you see it. A shoe, children's size. Faded red canvas, mudded beyond recognition. You don't touch it. Somewhere, a woodpecker taps 3 times, then silence. And then something closer begins to knock back. 3 slow, heavy taps from beneath your feet. You leap away. There's no hole, no opening, just moss and root and soil. But the sound came from under the tree. You draw your sidearm now. Not because you expect it to help, because you're human and holding something makes fear feel manageable. You back away slowly. That's when the walkie cracks to life again. You're where she bled. The voice is soft, female, not familiar, but the tone, almost comforting. You lower the radio and scan the forest. Who's speaking? You ask. Silence. Then, they buried her in pieces. You freeze, the wind shifts. You smell something now. Not rot, flowers, lilac maybe, or violet, too sweet, too out of place. That's when you spot the clearing through the trees. Low stones forming a broken circle, like a makeshift garden or a forgotten graveyard. You enter, there are no markers, just the faint shapes of where soil was disturbed long ago. Someone tried to plant here or hide something. At the center is another pine. This one's bark is carved, not with symbols, but names. Dozens of them, all children, some first names, some initials, some crossed out, one near the bottom. C.H. Callows, right beside it, scratched more recently. J.S., that's you. Your initials carved in deep, jagged, fresh. You didn't put them there. You didn't want to, but they're there. Experts still wonder whether haunted locations act as recorders, playing back trauma, echoing it in loops, sometimes adding to the message with whoever stumbles in next. The theory goes, the longer you stay, the more of yourself the place learns, and eventually it calls you by name. You drop your eyes to the ground. You notice something half buried in the dirt beside the tree. A journal, small, leather-bound, weather-worn but intact. You pick it up and flip through cautiously. Most of the entries are scribbles, half-finished words, ramblings about root breath and nearer paths. But one page stands out. A drawing, the tree, this exact one, with eyes drawn along the trunk. Dozens of them, human eyes, childlike, open. Beneath it, scrawled in frantic pen, "It sees through bark. Don't let it remember your face." You close the journal fast, heartbeat slamming against your ribs. Too late, because the bark on the tree begins to pulse, just slightly. You step back, trip over a rock. Your flashlight skitters across the moss, and you hear it. Not a whisper, not a voice, a groan, the tree, like something inside it is moving. You don't wait to see more. You grab your light and run, again, past the grave circle, past the dark sap, past the chute. You run until the trees start to blur and your lungs burn and the forest thins just enough to remember how sky looks. You stop only when the bridge comes into view. Your cruiser is still there, but you don't get in, not yet, because someone is sitting on the hood, small frame, red hoodie, feet bare, face hidden, the boy. He lifts his hand. This time he waves, not mimicking, just waving. And you, against everything smart inside you, wave back. You stand frozen. The sun is dipping low again, painting the trees in gold and rust, but the boy on the hood doesn't move with the light. He just sits there, elbows on knees, head tilted like he's been waiting. For you, the fabric of his red hoodie is threadbare now that you're closer. One sleeve torn at the cuff, dirt caked around the hem. But the most chilling detail isn't the hoodie, it's that you can't see his face. Not hidden. Not turned away, it's light. It's just not there. A blank space where a face should be. Your eyes want to make out features to force familiarity into the void. But the more you stare, the more it slips, like trying to hold onto smoke. You whisper, "Khaled." The figure tilts its head further, almost curious. And then it's gone. Not vanished into the trees, not faded, just gone. The weight on the hood disappears. No imprint left on the metal. Not even dust, like no one ever sat there, but the chill remains. You unlock the cruiser and get inside. Engine fires up on the first turn. Radio crackles to life on its own. Then, you saw him. The voice is masculine, rough, familiar. You fumble the receiver. Who is this? There's a pause, then, you don't remember me. You stare at the mic like it just bit you. That voice, it's from the old tapes, the missing hiker's case. The fourth man, the one never identified. The one who left only one recording, recovered from a half-melted recorder found in a creek. You play it in your head now, the phrase burned into your memory. We walked in circles, but it walked in straight lines, right through us, right through time. You get out of the cruiser. You're not going back to town yet. Not now. Instead, you walk around to the trunk and pop it. Inside, you keep your backup gear, trail cams, stakes, markers, and a weatherproof case of old files you've meant to sort for months. You dig through it until you find the Coldwater Ford. 4 hikers, vanished in 1995. 2 found days later, no memory, fingernails torn off, skin sunburned despite days of rain. The 3rd, recovered in 1997. Found outside a ranger station, barefoot, clutching a pine cone like it was a weapon. The 4th, never found. But the recording survived, and now that voice is calling you. You flip to the map from earlier, that hand-drawn circle marked listening. It lines up with the mile marker you passed before the tree with the blood sac. That's where you go. This time, you bring backup. Trail cams strapped to trees. Motion sensors buried shallow in moss. You even bring one of those wildlife audio recorders, usually used for bear tracking. You set them all up around the perimeter of the circle, and then you wait. The sun slips below the treetops. The forest breathes in, and then something begins to move, not fast, not loud, just. Deliberate, your motion sensors flicker green. Then amber, then red, and stop. Dead silence. You click on the audio recorder. Nothing at first. Then white noise. Then your voice. Not from earlier, from now, from your own mouth. But you haven't said anything. You haven't even breathed. And yet you hear it. They see through bark. Don't let it remember. It cuts off. Then laughter, childlike, followed by a dragging sound, like something pulled across gravel. Then the unmistakable snap of a twig. Right behind you, you spin around, nothing. But one of the cameras is blinking rapidly. Recording, you check the feed, nothing but trees. Until the center frame warps slightly, as if heat rippled across the lens. And just before the frame cuts, you see a figure step into the shot. Not a child, not an adult, something in between, too long, too narrow, dressed in what looks like an oversized hoodie that moves like wet cloth in windless air. The clip ends, battery dead. You try to replay it, error, file corrupted. You don't breathe, you don't move. Instead, you back out of the clearing, step by careful step. The forest watches. You feel it in your ribs like a second heartbeat. When you finally return to your cruiser, you drive without the headlights on for the first mile. Some instinct whispers it's safer that way. You don't even know if you're still being followed. But when you park at the station, exhausted, shaking, you find a single sheet of paper tucked beneath your windshield wiper. On it, written in charcoal, "One more full moon." And just beneath it, "Help him cross." You clutch it in your hand, unsure whether it means Caleb or something pretending to be him. You don't sleep, not really. You lie in bed with the paper still clutched in your hand, the words "one more full moon" burning into your mind like an overdue deadline. You think of the moon phases taped to the dispatch calendar in the break room. The next full moon is in 5 nights. 5. You have 5 days to do what? Help him cross. The words replay in your head like a skipped record. And each time they do, the memory of that blank-faced child sitting on your cruiser hood creeps closer. He wasn't smiling. He wasn't asking. He was waiting. And now, so is something else. You spend the next day combing through the town archives. Sheriff records going back to the 60s. Anything tagged Coldwater, missing persons, bridge, pines. It doesn't take long before a pattern emerges. Always around the full moon. Always someone alone. Always last seen near the bridge. And always fire. Campfire sightings. Even when there were no known campers. Even during burn bans. You flip through yellowed reports and see the same phrases over and over again. Saw light in the trees. Smelled wood smoke, but no ashes found. Thought I heard laughter, but it didn't sound right. You remember the scorch scent in the air when you found the footprints. You hadn't noticed it at the time, at least not fully, but it was there. You checked the satellite imagery of the Coldwater area. There's a clearing northwest of the listening circle, not marked. No trails, no structures, but there's a faint outline, scorched earth. Old. You mark the coordinates. That evening, as dusk starts bleeding in around the trees, you pack light. No sensors this time. Just your flashlight, your badge, your sidearm, and a steel canteen you filled with water from the church spigot across from the station. You don't know why you did that part. Maybe it's habit, maybe it's superstition, or maybe it's because the last few nights have taught you that the pines beyond Coldwater Bridge don't play by regular rules. You park, you walk, and the forest feels different again. Not hostile, not warm, expectant. The path to the clearing isn't marked, but your feet know where to go, like something tugging gently on your spine. The deeper you go, the less sound there is. Not silence, absence, as if everything has stepped back to make room. Then you smell it, smoke, fresh. And that's when you see the flickering glow through the trees. It pulses orange against the bark, moving as if the flames are alive. You crouch low, creeping forward until the clearing opens before you. There's a fire, small, perfectly built. No pit, no rocks, just burning in the center of the moss like the forest made space for it. But there are no people, no tents, no gear, just the fire. You wait, 5 minutes, 10. The flames don't shrink, they don't grow, they just burn. And then across the clearing, a figure appears, not from the trees, from the smoke. It forms slowly, legs first, then arms, then a torso, a hood, red. You rise slightly, hand on your belt. Caleb. He doesn't move, but the fire flickers brighter as if in response. And now you notice something else. There are stones around the clearing, 12 of them placed with care, almost ritualistic, like the numbers on a clock. Each one bears a marking, some scratched, some carved deep. You move closer to the nearest. The symbol is a circle with a line through it. Old, simple, but your chest tightens as you realize it matches one of the runes you found carved into bark earlier. This place is meant for something. Are you stuck here? You whisper. The boy nods. One slow nod, you step forward. What is this place? He doesn't answer. Instead, he points. To your left, you turn and you see it. Another fire, smaller, just beyond the tree line. And beyond that another, 12 in total, in a ring around the woods. But only this one is burning, the rest are cold. You take a step back, heart hammering, then your radio crackles, soft static. Then a voice, not the boys, rougher, older. They made a deal. One fire, one chance. You speak into the mic. Who are you? No reply, but your eyes catch movement again. Across the fire, a shadow steps forward. Not Caleb, something bigger. Clothed in what looks like rags or maybe bark. Its head is a twisted weave of branches and antlers, too tall, too wide. And its eyes, two small, steady lights. Not glowing, reflecting, it doesn't approach, but you hear it, not aloud, inside you. He can leave if someone takes his place. You don't answer, because what do you say to that? The fire crackles louder, and then you hear running behind you. You turn just in time to see a man barrel into the clearing, clothes torn, face wild, breath coming in ragged gasps. He looks familiar, too familiar. You stare, and realize it's you, or rather a perfect copy. Uniform, badge, everything. It sees the boy, screams your name, and lunges, and passes through him. The fire flares, then dies. The clearing goes black, and in the silence that follows, only one voice speaks. Wrong choice. Darkness in the woods is not like darkness in your bedroom or even in an alleyway on the wrong side of town. Out here, it's total. It swallows light, devours it. And when the fire goes out in the clearing, it takes with it every sense of place, of direction, of self. You don't remember falling to your knees, but you're there now, breathing like you just outran something that never moved. You fumble for your flashlight. Click. Nothing. Click again, still nothing. And that's when you hear it, a voice, whispering, not the strange, distorted ones you've heard through radios or wind. This one's familiar, your father's voice, soft, kind. The way he sounded when he used to ruffle your hair as a kid. Hey, champ, you're all right, just a bad dream. You spin around. Nothing. He's been gone for years, died before you joined the force. But the voice is perfect, too perfect. The kind of perfect only memory can fake. You back toward the tree line, one hand gripping the cold metal of your badge like it's a holy symbol. Then the voice calls again, this time from behind you. Come on now, don't be scared. I'll walk you out. You know it's not him, you know, but your feet twitch. Because the thing about hearing someone you've lost is that, for a second, you want to believe. Even if everything else is screaming don't. There's a legend obscure, tucked into the footnotes of Celtic lore. Not the banshee, not the she, something older, the callers. Forest spirits that mimic the voices of your dead to lead you off path. They don't hunt you, they invite you, and you step willingly. Experts still wonder whether the phenomenon of phantom voices in deep woods comes from sound bouncing off trees, or if it's something much more intentional. The voice laughs now. Not cruelly, almost fondly, then shifts deeper, less human. You were almost enough. Suddenly light returns, a flicker, then a flare. The fire in the center of the clearing is back, burning even brighter than before. You shield your eyes, and when they adjust, you see him. Caleb standing inside the fire, unharmed, still in the red hoodie. But now he's looking directly at you, and you can see his face. Wide brown eyes, freckles. A little too pale, but undeniably human. He opens his mouth, and the voice that comes out is yours. Help me cross. Then again, softer. Not your voice this time, please. You step toward the flames. Heat licks at your face, but doesn't burn. You reach out. And the fire vanishes. Gone. No embers, no smoke, just cold. And now Caleb stands a few feet away. Behind him, the trees part into a new path. One you've never seen before. It pulses at the edges, like air above hot asphalt. Is this where I go, you ask. He nods, you step closer. What happens to me? He shrugs, you almost laugh. Of course he doesn't know. He's just a kid who's been stuck. You look down at him. What if I walk you halfway? He cocks his head. You add, maybe that's enough. Maybe you just need someone to start the walk. Another nod, so you do it. Step by step, you and Caleb walk the glowing path into the trees. The light doesn't come from above or from torches, it's in the path itself, like veins beneath skin pulsing. The air thickens, but not with smoke, with memory. You smell your grandfather's old pipe tobacco. Hear the creak of your childhood porch swing. You see flickers, people you miss, places you forgot. Then wind, cool, real. The path ends at a small, mossy knoll beyond it. Just more woods, nothing glowing, no exit sign. Caleb stops. He looks up at you, then slowly lifts his hand and presses it to your chest. It's cold, too cold, and your heart stutters, then steadies. He smiles and steps forward into the trees. No flash, no drama. He's just gone, but this time you really know he's not just vanished. He's moved on. You exhale, and that's when the whisper returns. But it's not Caleb, it's the thing. From the fire, from the radio, from the trees, now there's a space open. Branches crash to your right, then your left. Then something charges. You run, faster than you ever have, feet pounding the pulsing trail backward. The light underfoot flickers, dims, dies. The forest grows hungrier. You burst into the old clearing just as the last ember of the fire sizzles out. And there, at the edge, a second you steps forward, expression blank. Eyes missing, a hollow echo in a red hoodie. It tilts its head and whispers, "Now you stay." You draw your sidearm. It feels laughably small. The figure, your figure, doesn't flinch, doesn't blink. Just stands there in the exact stance you've seen in your bathroom mirror 100 mornings. Same boots, same bag, same frayed patch on the shoulder of your uniform, except for the eyes, because it has none. Just empty ovals where they should be, as if someone painted over your face with shadow. Stay back, you warn. It smiles. Not with lips, with intent. You don't fire, not yet. You don't even raise your arm, because part of you wonders if this, whatever this is, wants you to shoot, wants the noise, the violence, a trade. The wind picks up suddenly, hard and sharp. It spins around the clearing like it's chasing its own tail. Needles shake loose from the pine branches and begin to swirl in the air, forming patterns. You squint, trying to make sense of it. That's when you see them, knots. Dozens of them, tied with twine and bits of torn fabric dangling from low branches all around you. Each one a small, deliberate tangle, some tight, some loose, all made by hand. Like someone had been practicing over and over. You step toward one, careful to keep your twin in the corner of your vision. The knot is fresh, smells of sweat and earth. You reach out. The moment your fingers brush it, your head spins. Not dizzy, disoriented, like you were just yanked sideways through time. You see something, someone tying it, small hands, nervous, dirty fingernails, working the twine like they've done it 1,000 times. The face flashes for only a second, but it's Caleb, except not Caleb, older, thinner, scared. He whispers something as he ties the knot, but you can't hear it. You pull your hand back, heart racing. These aren't just knots, they're memories. Or maybe locks, warnings. You spin slowly. All around you, these little charms sway, some from twigs, others from hooks embedded into the bark. One, disturbingly, hangs from a child's shoelace, and carved into the bark beneath that one is a symbol, not one you've seen in any book, but you've seen it before, on a body. A hiker recovered back in 2006. He disappeared for 5 weeks, showed up babbling nonsense, died 48 hours later. His chest had been marked with the exact same wound, burned into the skin like a brand. You didn't understand it then. You wish you didn't now. You step away from the knot tree, breath shallow. That's when you hear it. A rhythmic thump, dull, heavy from the distance. You follow the sound not far until you reach another pine. And there, carved into its trunk, is a set of symbols, different from the knots. These are older, more refined, etched deep and deliberate. You take out your phone, snap a photo. But the moment the shutter clicks, your phone glows, then dies. You yank the battery, still hot. Behind you, the wind hisses, and that's when you see the bark. It's peeling back from the tree, like skin curling in heat. Beneath it, more symbols, fresh, bleeding sap that looks too much like ink. And then, suddenly, your name, carved beneath them. Letter by letter, forming in real time. You don't stay to watch it finish. You turn and sprint toward the clearing's edge. The copy of you steps into your path, but this time it moves, fast, too fast. It reaches for your wrist, and where it touches, your skin burns cold. You jerk away, stumbling into one of the trees, knocking free a dozen knot charms. They hit the ground and unravel instantly, twine snapping like brittle hair. And everything stops. The wind, the figure, even the sounds. Stillness falls like a dropped curtain. And then, the pines scream. Not a howl, not wind. A scream. Dozens of voices all at once. High, low, old, young, wailing from within the trunks, from the branches, from beneath the soil. Your doppelganger turns toward the sound slowly, head twitching once, twice. Then it speaks, for the first time in your voice, but full of static. You're not him. And it vanishes, just fades out, mid-sentence, mid-breath, like mist caught by sunlight. You collapse to your knees, gasping, gripping your wrist where the thing touched you. There's a mark there now. Not a burn, not a bruise, a knot tied into your skin. Your blood circles it like thread. You stumble back to your cruiser before full dark sets in. You don't remember the walk. You drive home with one hand on the wheel, the other clenched into a fist, hiding the knot from yourself. But that night, as you lie awake staring at the ceiling, you realize something far worse. The knot isn't staying, it's tightening. You wrap your wrist in gauze the next morning. It's a poor attempt at normalcy, like putting a curtain over a windowless wall and calling it a view. But it makes it easier to pretend, at least while you're around the others at the station. You tell them it's a sprain, hiking slip. No one asks questions. No one looks closely. But as you pour your third cup of coffee and glance toward the duty log, you catch Deputy Harlan watching you. Not suspicious, worried. He's holding a manila folder, the old kind, yellowed at the corners with a brittle rubber band wrapped around it. When your eyes meet, he crosses the room and sets it down beside your cup without a word. You lift the flap. Inside are photographs, 12 of them, one for each full moon going back 5 years. Each photo shows a section of forest near Coldwater Bridge, taken by hunters, hikers, or surveyors. And in each one, a flash of red, barely visible, always partially obscured by trees or caught at the very edge of frame. Sometimes near the creek, sometimes on the bridge, once disturbingly reflected in a window of an empty ranger tower. You flip to the last image, taken just 3 days ago, not by a camera, by a drone. It shows the roof of the ranger tower, long abandoned since the fire in 2009, half collapsed, supposedly unreachable. Except someone's there, sitting cross-legged on the roof, red hoodie bright in the sun, head tilted, looking up at the drone as if he heard it. You look up at Harlan, he just nods. No one told me, you say. Didn't think we had to, he replies. We thought he'd moved on. He usually doesn't show twice. You pause, usually. Harlan sighs, except in years with a second full moon. You freeze, your blood runs cold. Because you know what that means. You whisper a blue moon. He nods, this Friday. You check the calendar. He's right. That gives you 2 days. 2 days to figure out how to stop something that's been repeating itself for decades. 2 days to untie whatever knot is tightening in your flesh. 2 days to get answers from the only place left that might have them. The tower, the climb is not safe. The fire scorched the inside stairs, left rusted nails like little teeth across every rung. But you pack anyway, flashlight, gloves, crowbar, the old file Harlan gave you. And the knife, the one from the tree, the one that was still warm. You reach the base of the tower just before sundown. The pines are quieter here, not peaceful, just watchful, like the forest is holding its breath. You test the first step. It creaks. You climb. Each step moans in protest. Wood flakes away in your hand. Rust stains your gloves, but the knot in your wrist seems to pulse with each movement, tighter with every foot you gain. You reach the top. The trapdoor is slightly ajar. Something scuttles inside when you push it open. You wait. Silence. Then you enter. The air is stale, hot, smells like mold and burnt paper. The walls are charred but intact. A cracked window lets in a shaft of orange light. Dust dances in the beam like tiny spirits too small to notice. And on the floor, a journal, just like the one from the roots. You pick it up slowly. Every page is the same, over and over. Let HIM cross. Scrawled in different handwriting. Sloppy, neat, childish, shaky. Different pens, different years. You turn to the last page. It's dated tomorrow, and it's empty. except for one word. You. You back up, step onto something soft. You look down, a bundle of twine, knotted intricately, tied to something buried beneath the floorboards. You pry one up. Find bones, small, human, arranged in a spiral, each wrapped in red cloth, each placed with care, not buried, offered. Then footsteps above. You look up, but there's no higher floor, only the roof. A shadow passes across the window, then a knock, soft. Deliberate on the outside of the glass, you turn, and there he is, Caleb, closer than ever, face pale but peaceful, not blank, not eerie, just tired. He mouths something, you squint. He mouths it again, you speak it aloud. Behind me. You spin, but there's nothing there, until your breath fogs, and the mirror on the far wall, cracked and dusty, begins to drip. Not water, something thicker, and behind your reflection is you smiling. With black eyes, it lifts a hand, so do you. But yours trembles, it doesn't, it waves, not at you, behind you. You turn once more, and the boy is gone, but the trapdoor closed. The trapdoor didn't slam shut. It clicked soft and final, like a decision made in secret. You lunge forward, but it won't budge. The lock mechanism, long rusted, holds with the resolve of a door that's been waiting years to close just this once. You're trapped in the tower, not panic, not yet, but your breathing changes, that subtle quickening. Your flashlight beam trembles ever so slightly in your grip. You scan the room again, slower this time. The bones remain in their spiral. The journal lies open to the blank page dated tomorrow. And in the cracked mirror, your reflection blinks, even when you don't. You step away from it. The knot in your wrist pulses again. Harder. It's not just tightening now, it's threading. Thin strands creeping along your forearm like ivy made of shadow. You peel back the gauze. The twine has spread in a perfect spiral from the knot, darkening the veins beneath your skin. You stumble back from the mirror, from the journal, from the bones, and nearly trip over something tucked in the corner. A duffel bag. You unzip it. Inside are items labeled in fading marker ink. Jennings 1994, Marlowe 1981, TK unknown. Each item wrapped in linen. Small bundles, some soft, some brittle. You unwrap the nearest, a baby shoe. Inside it, a folded paper note. For the crossing, let this be the tether. You reach for another, a cracked glasses frame, a marble, a tattered piece of red flannel, all offerings or tokens, to guide someone back or hold them in place. Then you find the one marked CH. Caleb Holloway, it's a fold, wallet size, faded. Him in his red hoodie standing on a school field, holding up a certificate with a crooked grin. His name S written in block letters on the back in a child's hand. You stare at it, and that's when the wind picks up again. Inside the tower, no windows open, but the papers on the floor begin to circle, slowly at first, then faster, pages flipping like someone's thumbing through time. The journal slams shut, the mirror shatters, and something begins climbing the stairs, not stomping, not running, dragging. Like something heavy is being pulled upward step by reluctant step. You press yourself into the far corner, weapon drawn. The air turns sharp, metallic, and wet. Then a voice, childlike, from the stairwell. You left the fire cold. You shout, what do you want? The dragging stops, then the voice again, lower, older. A place. You yell back, he crossed, he's free now. A pause. Then who stands behind you? You spin. And there, inside the spiral of bones, Caleb, but he's different, taller, older. The hoodie hangs from his shoulders like a shroud. His eyes are hollow. His mouth is stitched shut with thread made of pine needles, and his hands, twined together, fingers fused with bark. You step forward. Caleb. He shakes his head, not at you, behind you, you turn. The mirror is shattered, but something stands in its reflection. A tall figure, limbs too long, hands tied at the wrist with red string. It lifts those hands and stretches them toward you. The knot in your wrist burns. You scream not in pain, but from a sudden understanding. It's not about helping Caleb cross. It never was. It's about holding the door open. And the knot, it's not a trap, it's a key. The spiral of bones cracks open as Caleb's stitched mouth begins to open on its own, pine needle threads splitting slowly, painfully, one by one. You shout, "Stop!" But it's not him moving anymore. It's the thing inside. The twine on your arm lashes upward, wrapping around your neck like a leash. You choke, fall, your vision dims. And then you remember, the canteen, the one you filled from the church spigot. You fumble for it with numb fingers, wrench it open, and splash the contents across the floor, across the bones, across your own skin. The effect is instant. A howl erupts from the tower walls. The floorboards tremble. The twine on your skin burns, then retreats like it's alive and dying at once. The figure in the mirror shudders and begins to unravel, arms first, then legs, like a puppet whose strings are finally cut. Caleb collapses in the center of the spiral. You crawl to him. He opens his mouth. No thread, just a whisper. Don't let it tie again. You grip his shoulders. What is it? His eyes flick toward the trapdoor above. Something that watches from the pine. You pull him close, but he fades in your arms, not dead, not gone, just lightened. His body folds inward, becoming smoke, becoming wind, and slips between your fingers like fine sand. The trapdoor creaks, then opens. You're alone again, but this time you don't climb down. You toss the journal into the fire pit in the corner, light it. Watch the pages curl and blacken. And for just a moment in the flames, you see a hand reach up, then vanish. When you descend the stairs at dawn, the pines are quiet, and every knot in the trees untied. The forest feels lighter. Not safe, don't fool yourself, but no longer pressing against your chest like a hand. The pines still loom overhead, tall as ever, but they creak like old bones instead of whispered threats. You walk slowly back toward the bridge, stepping carefully over roots and deadfall. Every so often, you glance down at your wrist. The knot is gone, not just faded, gone. The skin there is smooth, pale, like it was never tied at all. But you remember every tug, every pulse, every turn of that thread as it crawled up your arm like it wanted to make a home. By the time you reach the bridge, dawn is spilling gold through the mist. The wood slats beneath your boots feel familiar again, not haunted, just old. The river hums underneath, its voice calm, steady, and very alive. And there, on the far side, leaning against the guardrail like he's waiting for the school bus. Caleb, not the blank-eyed mimic, not the stitch-mouthed echo, him, a 10-year-old boy, freckles, red-hooded. Backpack slung over one shoulder, he smiles. It's a little crooked, a little unsure, like he remembers too. You cross to him, you don't speak. He doesn't need you to. You just stand there a moment, side by side, looking down at the water. You think maybe this is it. Maybe the worst is over. But then he turns to you, tilts his head and whispers, "You're not the first." Your stomach tightens. "First what?" you ask. He shrugs. "Sheriff." The name stings. Not because it's wrong, because of how he says it. Like a title, like a role, a pattern. You think of the others, the names in the journal. The initials carved into bark. The old cold cases Harlan couldn't explain. Every one of them had something in common. They weren't just victims. They were bridges. People who stood in the threshold between this world and the thing that watches through the pine. And now you remember something from last night's journal. Something you skimmed past in your panic. A symbol beside the words, "Let him cross." It wasn't just a circle. It was a loop, a knot, a cycle. Caleb watches your face as realization sets in. He nods. Then points, not at the woods, at the river. At a spot near the far bank where the current slows just a bit. You follow his gaze. There, tangled among the roots of a tree, half submerged and shimmering in the early light, is a rope. Frayed, heavy, tied into a perfect noose, and beneath it barely visible. A second knot, not in the rope, in the water. It spirals, eddies, turning in slow motion like a drain that hasn't opened yet. What happens if someone else crosses? You ask. Caleb looks up. Then you don't have to. And now it makes sense, not fully, but enough. This isn't just about releasing him, it's about choosing. Someone always stays behind. And the forest, it doesn't care who. That's the rule, that's the trade. You could walk away. You could take Caleb across the bridge and never look back. Let the next sheriff find the journal. Hear the radio static. Feel the knot tighten. But then you remember that voice, the one that called itself you, the smile in the mirror, the empty eyes. It's not just about who crosses, it's about who gets coppered. You face the board. You don't have to do this again, you say. He smiles faintly. That's what the last one said. You take a breath, a long cold one, then pull out the photo, the one marked CH. You hand it to him. He holds it carefully, reverently, like a passport, then steps toward the bridge, not across. Under, you follow. He wades knee-deep into the river, right to where the rope floats among the roots. He takes it gently in his hand. The noose uncoils slowly, like it's remembering how to let go. The current shifts, and the knot in the water dissolves, like smoke. He looks back at you one last time. Thanks. Then he sinks, not drowning, just descending into stillness, into silence. You step back to dry ground. The sun breaks fully over the trees now. Birdsong returns. A distant owl calls once, as if confused to still be awake. And then your radio crackles. You lift it, cautious. Unit 3, you copy. Dispatch alive, normal, you press the mic. Copy, dispatch. Sheriff, you've been out all night. You pause, then. Just had a little trouble finding the trail back. Another pause. Then, well, sounds like you made it out. Welcome home. You lower the radio. Turn toward the trees one last time. They stand still now, not watching, just waiting, the way forests do. And on the breeze, a faint whisper. Until next time. Home doesn't feel like home anymore. You pull into your driveway just after noon, engine humming like it knows you don't really want to turn it off. The sun is bright, almost too bright, and the normal noises of the world have returned. Birdsong, lawnmowers, a kid's bike skipping over sidewalk cracks. But everything feels muted, like you're still listening through pine needles. Inside your house, nothing's moved. Coffee cup still on the counter. Jacket still hanging from the back of the kitchen chair. The same stack of unfiled reports you meant to deal with 2 nights ago. And yet, as soon as you close the front door, your hand hovers over the deadbolt, not locking it out of habit, locking it to keep something in. You sit down, open the old case folder one more time. You find yourself looking at photos, not of Caleb this time, but of Sheriff Tobias Hale, your predecessor. The one who retired suddenly in 2009 after a fire destroyed the Ranger Tower. Who left town quietly, no farewell party, no last shift, just disappeared. In one of the photos, he's standing near Coldwater Bridge, talking to a reporter. His expression is neutral, Sheriff Stoic, but behind his eyes, you see it now. The same hollow weight you've been carrying since the first night on that bridge. You dig deeper. Find a note paperclip to the last page of his file. 2 lines, scrawled in dark ink. He crossed, but it didn't end. Just waited for the next pair of boots. You sit back, and you realize it's never really over, not permanently, because it doesn't need everyone, just someone. And the sheriff, he always returns, whether it's you or the one who comes next. That night you dream of trees, of ropes, of a boy in a red hoodie sitting at the base of a pine, humming softly while tying knots with old twine. You try to call to him, but your voice doesn't carry. Then he turns. It's not Caleb, it's you. You at 10 years old, smiling with blood on your palms, whispering, "We had to make sure it holds." You wake in a sweat, and when you pull the covers back, your wrist is smooth, unmarked. But beside your bed, on the nightstand, rests a pine cone. Fresh, still sticky with sap, and next to it, a knot of red thread, tied tight, perfectly centered. You call Harlan the next morning. You don't tell him everything, just enough. That something S waiting. That someone always has to listen. That the pines don't forget. He doesn't ask for proof. He just says, "What do we do?" And you say, "We prepare the next one." Not as a sacrifice, as a witness. Because if there's a pattern to this, if the forest keeps choosing, it means there's a system. And if there's a system, you can learn its rules. You spend the next week placing markers, clearing old paths, mapping the circle sites, making diagrams on butcher paper at your kitchen table. Each line, each room, each knot documented, tracked. You're not afraid now. Not exactly, you're something else. Chosen, you walk the bridge again. Not to chase ghosts, but to listen. You place your palm on the railing. It's warm from the sun, but beneath that, something cooler, slower, like a heartbeat in old wood. You close your eyes, and for a second you hear children laughing in the woods. Not cruel, just lost. You open your eyes and walk to the tree line. The birds are singing. The breeze is gentle. But every so often the shadows shift, just slightly, and you swear you see a figure. Red hoodie, waiting, not for you, not yet, but soon. The days roll on. Leaves start to turn. The forest sheds its summer skin, and Coldwater quiets into that long, watchful stillness of early fall. You begin to notice new things, not terrifying, just telling. An old man in town stops you outside the diner and says, "It's been quiet lately. Bridge feels easier to cross." You nod. A hiker leaves a note pinned to the community board that reads, "Found a red hoodie on the trail, untouched by rain." Felt like a warning, left it there. You take the note. You don't call them. Instead, you go back to the clearing alone, not to test it, to mark it. You drive metal stakes into the dirt, tie them with bright ribbon, wrap them in reflective tape. You carve a quiet symbol into the bark of the spiral tree, not to summon, not to bind, just to say, "I see you," because you do now. You see everything, the rhythm of the place, the heartbeat, the cycle. The long inhale before the forest exhales something new again, and you see the path behind you, twisting through memory and mirror and mimicry, and you wonder, if Caleb crossed, what else did? You keep waking up at 3:12 a.m. every night. Sometimes it's just silence. Other times there's a rustling beneath your window. Once, the words 12 left were whispered from the baseboard heater. Nothing's connected to it. You checked. You never open the window. You never speak back. That's the rule now. You still do your job, write tickets, patrol highways, help old ladies bring in groceries. People smile at you like nothing's changed. But you know different. You feel different. Because the forest remembers faces, and now it remembers yours. You used to wonder why the pines were never logged, why developers never touched that land. Now you know. It's not fear that keeps people away. It's respect, deep, old, unspoken, like how sailors won't whistle on a boat, like how people whisper in cemeteries. You stand at the bridge often now, sometimes for minutes, sometimes for hours, and more than once you've seen someone else across the way, a jogger, a teenager cutting through the woods, once a man walking his dog. You watch them, not with suspicion, with a quiet hope they make it back out again. Because the thing is, you can't stop people from going in. You can only make sure someone's watching, that someone's listening. The townsfolk say Coldwater's safer now, that fewer folks have gone missing, that they don't hear the night calls anymore, but you still do. And you answer them with silence, because silence is stronger than invitation. Then one morning there's a knock at your door. A young woman, pale, nervous, she says, "I'm taking over for Harlan. He said you'd know what that means." You do. You give her the first journal, not the cursed one, the copied one, full of notes, maps, warnings. You tell her, don't go near the bridge unless you have to. She nods. You add, and if you do, don't answer if it knows your name. She smiles nervously. You say that like it's a thing. You pause. Then softly, it is. That night you sleep without dreams, but just before dawn you wake to a knock, not at the door, not at the window. From beneath your floorboards, 3 slow taps, then a voice familiar but twisted. "Ready for your next patrol." You don't answer. You reach for your boots, because the forest never calls you twice without reason. And whatever waits beyond Coldwater Bridge is watching again, ready, waiting, listening. Just like you. And now we ease back out. Let your breath slow. Let the pines fade into silhouettes again, dissolving into the early mist. You've walked a long road tonight. Listen to the wind in places most folks would rather avoid. And maybe, just maybe, you've glanced once or twice at your window, wondering what's waiting just beyond the glass. It's all right. Stories like these have a way of hanging around, clinging to the edge of your thoughts like morning fog on a windshield. But here's the good news. You made it back. Not everyone does. The The sounds will soften now, the snapping twigs, the whispering voices, the flicker of red just beyond the tree line. Let them drift like smoke from a fire that finally burned itself out. You're not in Coldwater anymore. You're here, present, safe, and sleep. It's closer than it feels, so take a deep breath. Let your heartbeat return to its rhythm. Maybe wrap that blanket just a little tighter. And if you hear something outside your window tonight, it's probably just the wind. Probably.